I always wanted to ask you, because I sent you a text after you didn't get selected to the World Cup roster. And I told you everything happens for a reason. You're gonna take this in a positive manner, just grind, and you're gonna be better for it. You win the NWSL championship and you're the MVP. Obviously you wanna play in the World Cup, but how much did it take for you to get over that low point? What did you have to kind of do to get yourself back in that mode of like, I'm gonna get back on the pitch and do my thing?
If I'm being honest, I still not over it. Like it's still like you say it and it like hurts. It took a lot. The entire middle of the season was really difficult, and especially since I was injured, so I couldn't even prove that I should be there in the moment. And then obviously I did that podcast about the World Cup, and I didn't want to watch the games, but I wanted to also support my friends and everyone on the team and like be for the country, be a patriot.
It was just too hard
Freedom.
to watch.
Yeah. Look at that hat.
Yes!
America! Hey, I got the American shirt
Merc,
too.
I've been waiting.
Yeah, but that's
Get your jokes out.
more
Get
like
your jokes out.
Yeah.
the
And
ego.
your
Hey, whose hat does that look like?
America.
Who would wear a hat like that?
It's one of.
Yeah, I wanted to support. I wanted to support my teammates and everything, but I didn't want to watch the games. It was really hard, and then.
But you did.
I did. Well, I like to make money.
Y'all should be best friends, you and Clint.
Well, my agent.
Wow.
Oh my
Hold
God.
on. How many networks
Oh
are you
my-
working with, bro?
Yeah, you need to
God.
make it clear.
Now.
I got mouths to feed, bro.
Hey, quality over quantity.
Oh
man.
my. He
Anywho.
called you money man.
Yeah. My agent called me and he said, would you be willing to do a podcast about the World Cup? And I said, fuck no. No, I was like, absolutely not. You want me to talk about how well they're doing at the World Cup while I'm sitting at home, hurt, trying to get back? And he told me how much they would pay. I said, yeah, I'll do it.
Did it
Good. I like that idea.
I was like, I actually.
It's a pretty cool concept.
I called my dad and I said, Dad, I don't want to do it. And he goes, how much is it? I told him, he goes, are you stupid? He goes, you can wipe your tears with golden tissues. So I did it.
Did it make it any, this sounds bad, right? But did it make it any easier that they weren't shining at that World Cup?
I can honestly say no. No.
Really?
It didn't. No, Kate. It honestly didn't, because, and maybe this is a weird way to look at it, but the way it felt like, man, like they're not even at their highest potential and I can't be there for that. So it made me feel.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Almost
It
worse,
worked
huh?
the other way around.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wanted it to be like, this is the best team in the world. Like they're better than everyone. It's the hardest roster to make and you're not on it.
So new management coming in Emma Hayes, how confident do you feel that under a new coach you can solidify your place in the U.S. Women's National Team?
I don't think my perspective is more of like, I'm sure I can solidify my role. It's more so I feel confident that I can be the best version of me and that I think the best version of me is good enough.
Why now?
I think not making the roster and coming back has changed my perspective on how I approach games. Before, I would go into like my NWSL games and I'd be like, I need to impress. Like, I need to put up a stat. Like, if I don't come back with like these goals or these assists, then I'm not gonna make the roster. And the truth is, that's actually what the situation was. It wasn't just about, in my opinion, for me, it wasn't just about putting on a good performance and saying, oh, she's quality. It was like, I need to have
Numbers to back it up.
Numbers to back it up. And that kind of mindset when you're forward, I don't know if you've had that experience, it changes your decision making. It like makes, or for me, it made me make poorer decisions. And after the World Cup, I really just played just to be like a dog. Like it was not about like, I need to score in this game. I was happy with assists. I usually am not happy with assists. I was happy with wins if I put in a good performance, and that got me farther than the other approach. So I think.
I'm sure you're friends with most or a bunch of the girls on the national team. How sobering do you think that experience was in terms of like bringing us to this point where we really realize now where we sit on an international scale? Whereas before, certainly from my perspective, just as a fan, I always considered the US to be the team to chase.
I think there's a difference between global narrative and players who are in the games, in the locker rooms every day and on the field training. I don't think, I mean, these women are really smart, like not just off the field, but their soccer IQ is high. So I think that when performances don't come together, it's not necessarily like a huge surprise. I think people
So
know.
they weren't expecting to perform well, is what you're saying?
No. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that people had recognized that there was more that is needed during the cycle. That like we needed to find another level, that things needed to click a little bit better than they were, and that they were still trying to find it. And I think in Sweden, in that game, they found it and they clicked and they put it together. I don't know if it was the double six. I don't know what conversations they had in the locker room. I don't know if it was a mentality shift because I wasn't there. But there were conversations the whole time about trying to get that complete performance, and eventually they got it.
As in the world was maybe we were underrating, we were maybe not taking the quality that the world has for what it is. Like we almost took it for granted in terms of Spain, Sweden, Japan.
I think it was a really big public misconception that all of these countries are not as good as they are. These countries are incredible. Watching Spain play, it was like, this is beautiful. And all the players see that. They watch the film, they're smart players, and they're like, okay, like what do we need to do to fix this to make sure that we're not getting passed around?
Do you think it's a development kind of issue, or you think it's just the fact that these other countries now have professional leagues and they're playing higher quality games week in and week out, and that's what's kind of closed the gap? Or you think that it's a situation where still, you know, the pay-to-play system and the development of the youth is not where it needs to be, or you feel like...
Or is it just coaching, bad coaching?
Well, I guess for me, I would need you to define the issue, because it seems like everyone's like, how many World Cups have we won? I'm actually asking.
Yeah, y'all done a lot. You've won a lot, yeah.
So we don't win one World Cup, and it's an issue. It's not like, oh.
I don't think the issue was that you didn't win it.
Okay.
No, that's not... That's,
To me, the issue was how did the team perform at the World Cup?
and then also if you look around and you look at other countries and they don't have pay to play, they have their academies, and how you can work your way into the first team, and how they're playing higher level games week in and week out, which they weren't doing before. Now you have more teams on the international level that are giving you, you know, tougher challenges than what they used to.
Which is good.
Which is good, which is great. But at the same time, you have to always, to be the best, you have to always be looking at yourself and evaluating yourself.
Absolutely.
And say, what can I do better?
I'd say the U.S. women right now aren't dominating in youth World Cups like they used to. And so now you're seeing, okay, what does the future look like if our youth aren't doing what they used to? We're not feeding the top talent like the U.S. women's national team typically gets.
Do you think that the U.S. has digressed, or is it more so the rest of the world's caught up?
I think both.
And so where do you go from there? Like, how does the U.S. get back to being this team that we all kind of assumed every time that there's a World Cup, every time the Olympics roll around? My expectancy, maybe I'm naive, is that we should be competing for a trophy, right?
Absolutely. I think it's hard for me to speculate because I haven't won a World Cup. I wasn't there when that was happening. We've done like U17 cycle, U20 cycle, and we didn't win a World Cup. Like I was part of those youth teams as well. So to say like what is going to be the changing factor, I don't think I have the answer for that. I can tell you about my experience and say that I didn't appreciate a lot of the decisions that were made roster-wise, tactically. I can say that in terms of like games and preparation, like this was my experience, but I don't know how to fix the whole system.
Did you watch the Carli Lloyd episode of this show?
No, I've seen clips though.
Did you see the clips where she spoke about the current state of the U.S. women's national team?
No.
Okay, so she essentially talked about that from her perspective, one of the dominant issues that she saw, which she addressed as well when she was over there in Australia on the broadcast, was the fact that she felt like there was a level of distraction around the team, that people were more focused on their own branding, on, you know, the celebrations, being in a moment, being visible, rather than, why you smile like that?
I just disagree.
Why do you think she's wrong?
I don't think she's wrong. I disagree. I think that two things can exist at once. I think you can have a lot of joy and have the time of your life at the World Cup, this position that you worked so hard to be in, and also turn it on the field at the same time. I think that it's really easy to point fingers and say, oh, this person's behavior is a reflection of the lack of success they're having, whereas they've been successful and have done the same thing. It's also, in my opinion, a generational shift. Like, there was no TikTok and all of that.
So Carli's old?
She's older.
She old head?
Carli is a U.S.
He's looking at me.
She's a U.S. OG for sure. She's a veteran. She's a legend. There is no controversy on whether or not that woman is a legend, and she's a U.S. legend. And there was no TikTok when she was playing, and that is not controversial either. And I would say that, yeah, generationally, the focus of like media and how that interplays with the soccer world and the industry has changed. But I don't think that it's fair to say that's the reason they didn't perform when there are so many other issues. I think it's comorbidity rather than just like to blame the player.
Would you say would you say it's fair to say, because she also mentioned how the culture is broken from what it had been in the past. This winning culture, this grit. You've been in and around the team, you've seen how Vlaco managed the team, kind of the atmosphere. Is she right in that sense? Did you feel that it wasn't as competitive as it once was, that it was around winning and whatever it took to win?
I mean, that wasn't my experience, but again, she's been there for however long, and that is her experience.
Right.
So I don't think my experience negates hers, but I felt like in my time with the national team, I didn't feel that anyone wanted to win any less.
Thank you for watching. If you liked this episode of Kickin' It, then don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to enjoy more raw and unfiltered content from me and the boys.